Growing up is one of the hardest things about the human experience. The older I get, the more I realise that growing up isn't something that you simply do and then it's over. It's something you continually do every day, bit by bit. I'm not entirely convinced that anyone truly grows up. The maturity is more of a sliding scale whereby age, experience and perspective will determine where we position. Regardless of where we place on that scale though, we can all connect to the more profound aspects of our more formative years, aspects Mob Psycho 100 captures and portrays so vividly. One of the things that I appreciate most about Mob as a character is how he undergoes significant growth and development throughout the series. He changes in tangible ways. The protagonist we start the series with becomes more confident, outgoing and self-assured by the end of each season. This is because wherever possible, Mob always chooses what he knows to be right over what is easy or may give him some personal benefit. It's his conviction that Mob shows throughout the show that causes his growth. In Season 1, instead of joining the telepathy club so he can goof off with his friends and have more downtime after school, upon reflecting on his lacking physical strength and stamina, Mob elects to join the Body Improvement Club. He later passes out during the first training session due to his body being so weak and frail by comparison to the other members. Nevertheless, he continues training with the Wholesome Bros throughout the series, and the payoff for this dedication is that Mob is not only able to keep pace with the more experienced members of the club, but also train new recruits as well. During Season 2, Mob and his master Reigen aren't seeing eye to eye, as Mob rightfully feels that he is just being used for his psychic abilities at work, which is keeping him from making plans with his friends. After Reigen takes his casual relationship with the truth a step too far, stating that Mob has no real friends, only people that seek to take advantage or are playing a joke on him, Mob makes the right call once again and walks away from his master's side. This leaves Reigen with no other recourse but to acknowledge how far Mob has come, that he has a life outside of work filled with people that care about him, and that he was growing up. Mob rewards this acknowledgement by revealing to Reigen that he knew the truth about him all along, while sparing his master the shame of owning up to being a fraud. Mob simply stated that Reigen was a good man and left it at that. This particular encounter is critical in rebalancing Reigen and Mob's mentor-mentee relationship in order for it not to fall into the realms of codependent toxicity. Reigen hires additional staff so that less of the workload falls on Mob, whilst Mob finds a happy compromise between working with Reigen and socialising with his friends. Despite his use of Mob's psychic abilities for financial income, Reigen sincerely wants the best for Mob. Reigen was the first person Mob met who recognised his great power, but also recognised that power isn't what makes Mob special. It's just another ability to be included alongside any other abilities that a person may possess, and what Mob chooses to do with this power is far more important than the power in and of itself. It's because of this Mob also recognises that Reigen is a good person to keep around. He's the only adult that intervenes when Mob is in trouble or at risk of doing something he may later come to regret. An aspect I love about this show is that when we compare it with its bald and punchy cousin, it subverts shonen protagonist tropes rather than satirising them. Neither Mob nor Saitama ever go looking for fights despite being the strongest in their respective universes, but Saitama remains ready to throw down at any place and time, whilst Mob will only engage in combat as a last resort when backed into a corner and usually pleading with his opponent to stand down, usually for their own good. Mob is unique in that he often meets the insecure threats of his opponents with kindness, such as helping them through their present predicament, being their friend, or simply staying with them when their powers spiral out of their control, as he more than anyone knows what that feels like. It's this willingness to be vulnerable for the benefit of others that makes Mob feel like a real person. Series Author 1 goes to great lengths to humanise Mob, and the third season of the anime is a testament to this. It's a much slower burn than the other two seasons, and save for the finale, nowhere near as intense as the spectacular heights achieved during Season 2. That's actually one of the things I like about Season 3 however. Those I know that have read the manga shared that there wasn't much of the story left for the anime to adapt, but I'm glad Studio Bones pressed on and completed it anyway. They knew there was little to no ground to be gained by trying to go bigger for Season 3, so instead they went deeper, giving us more time with the eclectic world, cast and revealing who the series antagonist was this entire time. Shigeru Kageyama is the one enemy Mob cannot simply escape from or avoid. Aside from being Mob's birth name, Shigeru is also the manifestation of every negative impulse, thought and emotion Mob has ever felt towards others, repressed and distilled to such a degree that Shigeru is another consciousness that resents Mob for keeping him bottled down all this time. This is the kind of battle that can't be solved with a simple might makes right resolution. It's one of internal reasoning and perspective, but it's not one that Mob is fighting alone. Throughout the ordeal, previous foes turned friends such as Hanazawa do all they can to stop Shigeru from undoing the hard work and progress that Mob has achieved. It's only once Shigeru sets eyes on Mob's younger brother Ritsu that his conviction begins to waver, though he manages to press on. Even Reigen fails to reach Shigeru, unable to shatter his resolve until he is honest with him face to face and he owns up to the fact that he has no spiritual or psychic powers whatsoever and that he never did. Reigen finally coming clean to Mob stops Shigeru dead in his tracks. Reigen's searing honesty about how since the day he and Mob met, he's constantly lied and used Mob, clearly catches Shigeru off guard. Shigeru suspected Mob's master was nothing but a fraud, but it hits different when you hear it live and direct. Reigen stresses that what Mob or Shigeru is going through doesn't make him different and that everyone has another side, so it's not worth worrying about, but worrying is only natural. It's Reigen's courage to tell the truth, along with all of Mob's other friends and family that jumped into harm's way to protect him from himself, that moves Mob and Shigeru to reconcile their differences, accept each other, and move forward as one and only one. The revelation that your flaws aren't another side of you to be rejected, but part of a larger whole that you must accept and work to improve is what makes Mob's story so compelling. At 27, this is something I learned quite a while ago. Nevertheless, Mob's journey resonates with me because it reminds me of different experiences and challenges I had growing up, some of which I still have. The power of this show is that it holds up a mirror. Just as we, the audience, can celebrate Mob's growth by the end of the show, we can also hopefully do the same for ourselves and reflect on just how much we have grown too. But we'll leave things there for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and also comment down below. What did you think of Mob Psycho 100 Season 3 and the series as a whole? Hopefully I'll catch you in the next one, and until then, take care.